extremely excited and honored to be here with you all, especially on Valentine's Day, talking about a topic which I really love, which is about making hybrid work really work and how you can actually reimagine work with AI in the midst of it. So we did a study, very recently across 15,000 employees and 4,000 employers, and we got some interesting insights. 80% of employers are mandating people to come back into the office. That we know. More and more companies are asking people to come back partially or fully back into the office. But an interesting stat we learned from the study, 72% of employees actually want to come back into the office. Nobody wants to be at home the entire time. While we have all set up our home offices during the pandemic and it works very well in terms of hybrid work, at least 1 or 2 days, you actually want to come back into the office. And the reasons employees said they want to come back into the office, maybe for 1 or 2 or 3 days in a week, is because it helps them with collaboration. They can socialize with their peers. It helps them with ideation and co-creation. And last but not the least, it also fosters a very nice sense of belonging. So while employees and employers are saying that, they're happy to get people back into the office, but the office is not actually ready for them. So why is that? So one is the offices were reimagined before the pandemic. So when we were in the office before the pandemic, there were no video-enabled devices in all of the various different rooms. So now if you go back into the office and you go into a conference room or you go into a huddle space, there is not going to be video. So what would you have to do? You'll basically go into that particular huddle space, and if you join a conference call, now, previously, you could basically talk to your peer or somebody else across the board and have that face-to-face water cooler conversation. But the study also told us is, in the future, starting now, most collaboration meetings are always going to have at least one remote participant. So if you come back into the office, what is the point in being stuck in a conference room and then huddling in front of your laptop, because your home setup is going to be much more better than the office setup. So the offices are currently not built for collaboration. And we also found that the existing conference rooms are also not working either, both from an employee's as well as from an employer perspective. So we at Cisco have also been going through that. And so starting 2020, we started to experiment by reimagining our existing office spaces by building out these new hybrid work experience center. So the first place where we actually built our first hybrid work experience center is in New York City. In New York City, right during the pandemic and right after the pandemic, probably about 200 people. This is in One Penn Plaza, right in the middle of Manhattan. We used to have about 150 people who are coming back into the office. And we took the learnings from New York City on how do you make the office a magnet and not a mandate, right? Because employers can mandate and say, hey, you have to come back into the office, but our home setup is very nicely done, and nobody wants to basically, the office needs to be worth the commute in order to basically come back into the office. And so the New York City offices were created keeping that in mind so that we can make that a magnet. We took the learnings from New York City and then opened our hybrid work experience center in Chicago. And then taking the experience from Chicago, we opened up our Atlanta office last year. And then taking the learnings from Atlanta, we first opened our European office in December in Paris of last year. So what did we learn from that? So a couple of key things we did. We did a lot of different things. All those offices are built around keeping sustainability as the top of your mind. But outside that, some of the key things we did was the number of collaboration spaces, which used to be 30%, now became 70%. The number of individual spaces actually reduced dramatically. And so we used to have 70% individual spaces. Why do you need that? Because people are coming back into the office to collaborate. They don't want to be stuck in individual office rooms. And so we shrunk that down to 30%. And then last but not the least, we video enabled all of the offices, whether it is a huddle space, it's a co-creation space, whether it is any kind of a small meeting room, large meeting room, small conference room, does not matter. Every one of those spaces were also video enabled. So what? You could do that. But what is the output from that? So we used to, like I said, have about 150 people who were coming back into the New York City office. Now we have more than 650 people who are coming back to the office. And that is 3x amount of people who are coming back into the office. And so we started to basically look at an opportunity where the office now becomes much more welcoming for people to come down and actually collaborate, co-create, and foster that sense of belonging. So what was our blueprint, right? So we built a basically blueprint by living hybrid work and making sure that hybrid work can really work. And there are 3 important pillars when you think about that. First is you have to reimagine your existing workspaces. Second, you also have to reimagine work because ultimately it's the underlying software which basically powers that collaboration. And if you think about it, it's all about AI. AI is in the heart and center of this particular reimagination in order to make hybrid work really work. So let's dig into the first area around reimagining workspaces. So some of the key things we did was, how do you create? It's not just about taking and putting a video device in every one of the space. You could do it with our Cisco devices because we are the leaders in the teleconferencing space, or you could do it with one of the competitors' devices too. So how do you create that friction-free collaboration experience by enabling the video device? So there were 3 important elements you have to think about when you're rethinking your office strategy. One is, like I said, you video enable every space. Second one is, how do you create what we actually have named as create the distance zero experience? And I'll go a little bit deeper on that. And the third one is you have to digitize the entire workspace across the board. And again, everything, AI is going to play a tremendous role in terms of this particular reimagination. So when you think about video enabling every space, this is where I want to talk about a little bit about our technology. Most of you might know Cisco as the company which basically produces those teleconferencing devices. You probably have it in your conference rooms. But during the pandemic, we had to disrupt ourselves. It's not just about having those teleconferencing devices in the various different meeting rooms, like small conference rooms or medium-sized conference rooms. It's actually having a device built for various different spaces. So we had a tremendous amount of innovation which we had to bring to market with our technology. So we have innovated with Room series, with the Board series, which is meant for co-creation and ideation. We also innovated by bringing in specific devices for multiple different desks. And then the phones, those phones have to now become video enabled too. And last but not the least, the headset. So if you think about all these series of devices, and they have been reimagined specifically keeping multiple different spaces in mind. And I'm not going to give you a pitch talk on each of the product series over here, but in addition to that, all these devices will give you the opportunity to meet on any meetings platform. Before the pandemic, everybody knew about Webex because that was the meeting choice. But during the pandemic, that entire market actually got disrupted. All of us have our pet product with respect to a video conferencing platform. Mine is Webex. I'm sure you have a preference whether you want to meet on Zoom, you want to meet on Google, does not matter. And so those video devices need to be able to support a multi-platform approach, meaning that it should be able to automatically pick up from your calendar, and you should be able to join a Zoom call from that particular video device. If not, it's going to become difficult because we are living in a very strong multi-platform world. And so that's another core important element with the video devices. The second important thing is, how do you create this friction-free distance zero experiences? So let's talk a little bit about that. So when we talk about distance zero, this has to be built within the devices. Because like I said, you can bring in any device and put it in a video space, but it's not going to create that friction-free experience. So what do I mean by that? The speaker track. So if you look at this particular picture, the speaker has to be in the limelight. And like I said, 98% of meetings is always going to have one remote participant. So which means that if someone is attending this particular meeting from their home, and there is a whole bunch of people who are joining that meeting from a conference room, how can you ensure that the speakers are always in the limelight so that someone who's working from home, they have an opportunity to really interact with the speaker and all the other people in the room like they are actually in the room. So the speaker track is built into all of our device technology. The second thing is you want to be able to see people's reactions and expressions. This did not matter before the pandemic. Why? Because when you came into the office, all of your coworkers came into the office. But now you're always going to have someone working from home. And so how do you actually see everybody's reactions as well as their expression? So if you look at this screenshot on the left-hand side, that is what you would typically see in a meeting. If there are people, 3 people joining from a conference room and 1 or 2 people joining from home, you would see 3 boxes on your screen on the window. You would see the first one, which will have the conference room with 3 people. But with our technology, you won't see that. What you'll see is the after picture. So they are sitting in the same conference room and everyone now becomes a box on the screen, which means that we have equalized it so that collaboration now becomes inclusive. It's not like 3 people are sitting in one space, everybody's got an equal amount of space. And so we can do that for at least about 6 or 7 people in the conference room, and we're going to take the technology to the next level. And that's where AI plays a big role. All of our devices are powered by NVIDIA chips across the board, which gives us that superpower in order to basically bring AI in order to create that kind of a friction-free experience. And the other area is, one is video, the second one is audio. You want to make sure that all those devices are like you're actually directing a movie. Like I'm speaking right now on the stage, and as I'm walking around, the speakers need to be able to follow you. So all the devices have advanced facial recognition. So as I'm walking, it'll zoom in and zoom out automatically. And as I'm speaking, if you're working from home and you're watching the screen, you'll be able to clearly identify who's speaking because that person's voice as well as their video will be actually very well highlighted. And so making sure that you have created that kind of an experience is also critical. Another thing is you have to eliminate background noise. Previously, if you had to have a conference room meeting, you would huddle in a conference room and everybody is going to be huddled and you would have closed the door. But now somebody is going to be still working from home. So how do you make sure there is no background noise? During the pandemic, because I work for Cisco, I have a lot of devices in my home and I had construction going on during the pandemic. And initially, I had to apologize to people saying that, hey, I'm so sorry, you could hear a lot of noise because it was happening in the kitchen. And everybody would look at me going, oh, I cannot hear any noise. What are you talking about? And, it's because all of the background noise is automatically eliminated with our AI-powered background noise distraction removal, which is built into all of our devices. And if you're in the office, you can also block out visual distraction in any open space. So let's say you're sitting in a conference room and it's got glass doors. So now you can actually carve out meeting zones and you can say that anybody outside this particular carved out area should not be seen or should not be visible to all of the meeting attendees, which means that you have now an opportunity to create these spaces with zones when you're in the office so that you can eliminate any kind of distraction. So you can bring all this together so that you now have an opportunity to create this people-focused, tech-powered spaces with our advanced technology, which means that you can transform any desk into your own personal productivity hub for the day. Here is an example which we have in all of our hybrid work experience center. Previously, if you had to go to a jump room, like you see on the left-hand side, you would have to go there, you'll put your laptop, and they could have a dumb monitor over there, and great. But it's not very easy to make that space for a day. You have to put a tag saying that this room is reserved. We took away the problem. Because if you go into a particular room and if it has our Cisco desk or Cisco Desk Mini or a Desk Pro, It'll automatically have a QR code. Basically take the QR code and that device becomes your device for the day. All of your calendars will automatically go on that particular device. So it's friction free. And it automatically transforms that particular space into your desk for the entire day. And the other area is, as you're collaborating in multiple different spaces, small, medium, large conference rooms, or an ideation space, again, like I said, having that crystal clear audio and video is extremely important, and your devices should be able to do the speaker tracking so that it's like you're almost directing a movie and the camera follows you wherever you are. Think about a remote training experience or a learning experience. Even that has gone hybrid. So how do you basically bring everyone together so that you're blending the in-person as well as the remote learning experience? That is another example of what you can actually do with Distance Zero. And then if you think about boardrooms or in this particular large conference room, so if you look at this particular picture, you have like 10 seats on the left-hand side, and in the conference, you have another 10 people who have joined the room. But if you look at the configuration setup, it's like one oval table. It's like they could be sitting 10,000 miles away or even 20,000 miles away, does not matter. It looks like we have cut the room in half, and everybody is seated actually in that particular conference room. That is the kind of illusion we have actually created in terms of creating that kind of a collaboration experience. And if you think about a boardroom, we have come up with multiple different setups. We call this the campfire setting. It's like you're sitting in a campfire, and it has an opportunity for 16 people to have those exclusive private conversations like you would have in a boardroom, where everybody's got an opportunity to see everyone. The next third thing, when you think about reimagining workspaces, how do you basically digitize your workspace? So all of the devices I spoke about, the room devices, the desk devices, the board devices, they all now become sensors. So what do I mean when they become sensors? They will have the ability to automatically detect room occupancy, facial recognition, people count, and the list temperature, humidity, so on and so forth. Because they all have the ability to now become sensors, you now have an opportunity to completely digitize your building and make it into a smart building. If you go into any one of our hybrid work experience center, you'll be able to see this. This is called Cisco Spaces, which is a digitized version of the building. It'll give you the entire configuration of all the various different floors. It'll tell you the temperature, it'll tell you the humidity level, and all those green spaces mean those rooms are open. Anything in red means those rooms are already taken. And so as soon as you walk into the room, it'll automatically recognize that you walked into a room and that room gets booked for you. Or if somebody is already using the room, it'll show up in red. And so we've now taken our advanced sensor technology and created this kind of digitization of all smart buildings across the board.
The moment you enter our reimagined office in New York City, you know. This is hybrid work realized. We've created intelligent spaces to meet every need and building health metrics, individual focus, imaginative collaboration, meetings of every size, training rooms to boardrooms, meeting and casual setting, private spaces or huddle rooms, and easy wayfinding with 3D rich maps to get there. All available on the meetings platform of your choice, and cutting-edge tools, including noise removal, real-time translation, Webex Assistant, People Focus, with state-of-the-art wireless access and security. Work has changed for the better. Webex.
How cool is that? So now let me talk about the second topic on creating a blueprint on reimagining work. This is where the underlying collaboration technology is extremely important. So what does it take in order to make a hybrid work successful today? Because we live in a very busy world. You know, you work from home, then you basically hop into a car, go into your office. How can you make the entire opportunity a real seamless collaboration? It's not just about, you know, joining a meeting across the board. It's about the entire collaboration. So because today, because of the pandemic, it's not that we're going from meeting to meeting to meeting. You could be basically messaging with people in multiple different spaces or channels. And then you quickly realize that you need to basically meet someone. You don't need to set up a meeting call at all. You just have to hit the meet button in that particular space, and boom, you're going to be in a meeting. And so that is the kind of frictionless experience we all now actually expect, given the, one of the blessings of the pandemic. So we ourselves have majorly changed our entire portfolio when you think about it. So you need to have the right set of tools. And second, an AI assistant who actually works for you. And last but not the least, you need to have unparalleled audio and video communication. And so let's talk about the first one, which is the right set of tools. Most of you might know of Webex as the audio conferencing or the video conferencing technology. During the pandemic, that entire market got disrupted, and we had to change. And because of that, Webex has gone from a single app, which was only about meetings, into an entire suite of collaboration tools, which is meant to basically enable your productivity, all driven through a single app and a single experience. How many of you here know that Webex has actually morphed itself into an entire collaboration suite? Can I actually see a show of hands? So that's great. I at least see a few show of hands, but most people don't even realize the big transformation we have actually gone through over the last 10 plus years. So now with a single app, with Webex, you can join a meeting, you can message with someone, you can chat with someone, you can even do a voice call. The whole IP telephony, everything has actually moved into the cloud, gone on the phones, because the phones, the entire phone market has actually been disrupted actually. And then if you want to join a webinar, you want to do an event, everything is driven through the same UI, a seamless friction-free interface, and that is what you actually need when you think about all-in collaboration. And the second thing is, this is where AI Assistant actually comes in. And so our AI Assistant is called the Cisco AI Assistant, and it's available across our entire technology, both collaboration with Webex, across security, as well as with our networking. And how can an AI Assistant really work for you? Here are some of the examples. An AI Assistant which summarizes everything for you. So if you are basically messaging with a whole bunch of people in spaces, and you can go to the AI assistant and say, summarize this particular space for me. And it could be a long conversation, and it'll give you a very short synopsis of very important stuff which you need to focus on. Or you can ask the AI assistant to personalize a space for you. You can go and say, hey, like today I came to Florida, I live in San Francisco, and could have missed a whole bunch of communication in spaces. Now I can go back and tell the AI assistant to really personalize all conversations specifically where my boss was speaking in that particular space. So I can personalize it for me based upon who I actually want to basically read their messages on. Or I can ask it to highlight a meeting. You're gone on vacation. The meeting was recorded. Who wants to basically go and look at a 60-minute recording? Now you can take the 60-minute recording, it organizes it into multiple different chapters, and it gives you a movie trailer, a 1-minute movie trailer with important highlights of that particular meeting. So you don't even have to listen to the entire recording across the board, or you can go into the chapter you want and listen to that particular section. And an AI assistant, which now gives you an opportunity to be empathetic and kind and considerate as you write to your coworkers. As you go through a day, as the day gets long and long, we get short and short. Now, with the AI assistant, you'll have an opportunity to change the tone of your conversation, whether you want to make it friendly, you want to make it neutral, doesn't matter, but it gives you an opportunity to actually, bring out the best self as you're communicating with your colleagues and your peers. And an AI assistant which translates for you. Our Webex AI assistant has the ability to translate in real time from English to 100 plus languages. It also has the ability to translate in spaces. I could be typing in English, and it'll automatically translate into multiple different languages. This feature is not still GA, but we have already announced it, especially on the spaces part. On meetings, it's available in real time. And then, for the IT unsung heroes, it now also helps you with troubleshooting. You can, let's say you're experiencing a meeting, you're having a challenge with a meeting, and especially, let's say it's a board meeting call. You can now go to the AI assistant and ask it to troubleshoot for you. And we even have connected it with our 1000 Eyes technology, which is our performance management packet monitoring tool, which will identify and pinpoint and tell you where the problem is. And so it becomes the holy grail management console in order to basically troubleshoot and manage all your issues.
Your day moves fast, and interruptions go with the territory. With AI Assistant, you can get personal summaries of what you missed.
Okay, I'll review it all and send over the changes.
Missed the full meeting? Get video highlights, meeting recap, and action items. The AI Assistant keeps your day moving.
This one feature with the AI Assistant I am really fond of is I'm a working mother, and there are times when I end up being late to a meeting, and AI Assistant basically has got my back. And so let's say I join a meeting 5 minutes late. As soon as I join the meeting, the AI assistant will automatically know I've joined the meeting 5 minutes late, and it'll basically give me a summary of what I actually missed in the 5 minutes. How cool is that? Because it makes your life so easy so that you can get back to the conversation instead of asking your peer, oh my God, what did I miss in the last 5 minutes? So that brings me to the third part of the reimagine work is having this unparalleled audio and video. And you must be wondering, why am I talking about audio and video? And very recently, at our annual conference, Webex 1, last October, we brought to market our patented AI codec. The whole industry is on the Opus codec, which has been the industry standard when you think about audio as well as video communication. And we recently brought to market the Webex AI codec. And what does this codec do? It has the ability to regenerate the packets in real time so that even in the worst bandwidth conditions, you'll still have crystal clear audio as well as with video. So if you look at this particular picture with our super resolution capability, when you're in again low bandwidth conditions, it has the opportunity to automatically downgrade the pixels as it traverses through the network, but when it comes onto the other side, you'll basically get 1080p across the board so that you have crystal clear audio as well as video. So if you now think about it, when you bring all this together in terms of reimagining workspaces and reimagining work, that is what gives you the blueprint, and with AI at the heart of that. And what would be the fundamental benefit you all would get? One is, if without reimagining work and reimagining workspaces, and if you cannot create that kind of a friction-free experience, you're not going to be able to attract talent. One of the important elements we learned in the survey is, especially for the Gen Z, it's really important. They were born in the digital era. They want to have that friction-free communication, and so being able to attract top talent becomes critical. It also transforms your workplace productivity. And I actually think that if you think about the future, AI is going to bring about a lot of benefits, and we'll have an opportunity to actually measure the impact of AI when you think about productivity, as well as maximizing office efficiency. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to present to you guys today.